You made a hire with the new football communications director, and I wanted to ask you about that. Zach Stipe, is that a guy that you know, or kind of what do you see in him, and what do you expect from him in that role?
Well, communicating with Tennessee football fans and representing the University of Tennessee, doing a great job of helping Coach Jones, manage all the requests and all that kind of stuff. It takes a special skill set, given the number of people who are covering the walls, and we really like Zach's experience, and he's obviously been in some really high-profile experiences with the Seminoles and Jameis Winston and all that kind of stuff. But we also talked to a lot of people who are national writers and people in the industry when we had the opening develop, and he was one of the names that rose to the top. And Zach has a graduate degree from Tennessee. He tutored under Debbie Jennings on the Lady Vols when he first started, and so he's got some roots in history here. He's really excited to be part of our scene.
John, days like this, Big Orange Caravan a little later. What do you look for? What do you get out of it? What do you think the coaches get out of it? I mean, you're kind of a fly on the wall at some point, just watching. How important are days like this, and what do you guys get out of it?
Well, so they're important they're important enough that it's Saturday in June when a lot of people, a lot of athletic directors or coaches are off they're on the lake or something like that, and so. This is intended to be both a statement and a fun day, because the statement is that we're committed to being accessible to our fans, to honoring our fans. There are a lot of people from Chattanooga that get up on Saturday mornings and drive up to Knoxville. So how about me driving down to Chattanooga on Saturday morning, just like our fans will do this coming fall? I think Coach Jones and his whole staff coming. They've got a football clinic down here today, and then they're coming over. Of course, they're working now too. I walked into the building last night at 8 o'clock at night, and they've got new players who are acclimating who have just come in. So those guys are going nonstop, and it shows their commitment. When I got here to Tennessee on April 1st and started, one of the things somebody said was, "Hey, we've been waiting for you to get here so we can decide whether or not we're going to do the Big Orange Caravan." I was like, well, first of all, that's not a decision you make in April, right? If you make a decision in April, you're really too late to do it, because these things you got to plan, a long time in advance. But the decision to me is not if, it's how, right? And how are we going to continue to evolve what we do so it's relevant to our fans? And the fact that we've got 600, 700, 1,000 people coming today to an event, I think is testament to both the fact that people care about the Vols, and we've adapted the event so that it's not $45 or $150 for a family of 4 to come eat rubber chicken. It's a time for people to have fun and people be able to walk around and not be confined to their chair and get a little taste of the Big Orange.
John, Weed, you go ahead. I had a one-on-one with this guy just a few days ago.
John, since you left, probably as much turmoil in this program as there's been in a long time. When you got back, now that you've been around a while, what do you see as the biggest differences in the program you left and the program you've come back to?
Well, the biggest difference that I saw coming into Knoxville, Tennessee, in the University of Tennessee at Knoxville campus, is the way the campus has been transformed. There was a period of time when I was here before that you might have said the appearance of the campus was a bit of a liability, and now you've had this tremendous blossoming of the campus, if you will, with not just trees and grass and red brick, and but also Tickle Engineering Building, and now he has a School of Music and beautiful new dormitories, Stokely Residence Hall. It has really been transformed into a beautiful campus that reflects the history and heritage of our university. That's really the thing that's been the most amazing thing to me. And I've told some of the people that work at the university who've worked so hard to make those things happen, is that sometimes when you have incremental change, when you're watching it unfold in front of you, you don't really realize it, how much it's transformed. But when you go away for 8 years and then you come back, it blows you away, like it did when I came back for the K-State Tennessee basketball game in January. And then downtown Knoxville and the city of Knoxville has been transformed. I'm living down there right now, and it's amazing. I can't find a quiet restaurant to go eat a quiet salad late at night. I mean, every place I go is packed. I need to sit down and do a little reading and work and stuff, and there's no empty places anymore.
I wanted to ask you, baseball wise, where's that at? Have you had any interviews yet with candidates for that? And what's the latest there?
Well, we're focused on our baseball program. Obviously, this was a pre-scheduled event that I was not going to cancel today, but this is obviously a very busy time in that process. We don't give updates on searches once we start them. We're quiet about that out of respect to prospective coaches and our own program. But I'm very pleased with the interest in our job, and I'm optimistic and excited that we'll have a great coach who will get our program back to where it should be, which is a regularly contending program in the SEC and competing regularly in the NCAA playoffs and being back in Omaha. We've been there 4 times. We need to go back.
Yeah, to follow up on that, I was talking yesterday with Nick Woods, who's East Hamilton High School graduate here in our area, as well as Gunnar Ricketts from over at the Baylor School, just to kind of follow up with them. Hey, what are you thinking right now? And they both mentioned the fact that you had called them directly. Kind of, you call a signee. Kind of, what's the message, and why would you do that? I mean, why would you take that effort to call those signees?
Well, our student athletes, besides big stadiums and money and traffic and tickets and all that kind of stuff, none of it happens with our student athletes. And one of the differences between the athletics enterprise at the intercollegiate level and professional athletics is, we've got 20 teams, right? We've got 450, 500 student athletes. And every single one of them, whether they play baseball or football or soccer or track, every single one of them is really focused on what they do. And their folks care about them just like, the quarterback's parents care about them, just like the third baseman parents care about them. And so we need to be communicating all the time as much as we can with our student athletes. And so my practice has been, and again in this particular case, I met with our student athletes in this particular case in baseball, Coach Serrano and I met with them together. And I really appreciate how Coach Serrano handled kind of the handoff of the program. He left the program better than he found it 6 years ago. The next person will benefit from that. But I met with the team with Coach Serrano and the staff as Coach Serrano told them that he was going to step down. And then I met with the team by myself. And I asked them specific questions about what their interests are, why they came to Tennessee, what their interests are in the next coach, and all that kind of stuff. And then I did call all of our recruits. Because I wanted them to know that this is not something that's just going to linger, that we are actively engaged, and this is very important to us, and make sure that they know that they've got a conduit and that the AD cares. I care about baseball. I care about softball. I care about all of our sports, and we're going to give an incredible level of support to each of our teams and student athletes.
John, how much does it help the fact that you were at UT before? They go away for 8 years to K-State, and when you come back, just the kind of the general knowledge of the sports program and the importance and that kind of thing. How much does that previous experience, help now?
Well, there are a couple different layers of that. Number one, I think coming back and already knowing some of the people that are involved. I know some of the history. I know what Nathan Dougherty said to General Nealon when he hired him. Even the score with Vanderbilt. We got to do that in baseball now too, right? So I know some of those things that give me probably a little bit of an advantage. On the other hand, there are a lot of new people and a lot of elements of how the enterprise has evolved that I got to learn about, and I have to be really careful to do a good job of listening and being patient and not making assumptions because things may have changed, may have gotten better in some areas or worse in others, and I've got to be deliberate about really asking enough questions and concentrating on listening enough that I can understand those things.
Last thing, because we know you got to run to the Big Orange Caravan. If you want to call it challenges or opportunities, biggest things you're facing, when you look further down the road, you're paid to basically do that. So what is the biggest challenges or the biggest opportunities facing you in your job?
Well, number one, we got to win more, okay? But we have to do that in the context that of what we're really here about, and that's our student athletes, and that's representing the University of Tennessee the right way. That's being an asset to the city, to the state, and to all of college athletics, really. So we got to win more, okay? I don't run away from that. That's important to people in the state of Tennessee, and that's important to Tennessee volunteers, and that's important. It better be important to our student athletes and coaches, and I believe that it is. From an infrastructure standpoint, One of the advantages of being one of the historical legacy programs like the University of Tennessee is that you've got some great history and great facilities, but you also have to be careful that the inertia from those types of things that you don't let that lead you astray. And so in our particular case, Neyland Stadium is a huge, it's an iconic symbol of college football. It will turn 100 years old in 2021. And we have a number of fans who, when they come to Neyland Stadium and sit in particular areas, they're not receiving a world-class experience. And that's a project that we have to really tackle, and it's going to be an expensive project, so we'll have to be creative and aggressive to get that done.
Have you heard one common theme when you travel across the state, or if you're at dinner, and I'm sure UT fans aren't shy about coming up and talking to you, has there been one common theme of one thing that you hear the most of what they're looking for or looking forward to?
Well, first I was blown away. It was a relatively short window that I was contacted and considered this position, relatively short. And once the chancellor had come and I signed the paper she gave me, and it was announced a little bit later, I was blown away with the outpouring of support, text messages and calls from people that I had known here and I'd kept in touch with, former athletes and stuff like that. And the welcome has been unbelievable everywhere I've been. I've been so pleased with the way our athletics coaches and student athletes and staff have been supportive and excited. Our people want to win.
Yeah.
Right? We want to win. And we have the best, our football program has the best APR in the history of the program. And it's coming off 3 consecutive winning seasons for the first time since 02 through 04. We're doing the right things. Our student athletes are graduating. We can do all those things and win, right? In all of our sports. There's no sport at Tennessee that we can't be competitive in. We have nationally competitive, top 25 ranked programs across our academic campus, and we should have the same in athletics.
Well, guys, we are going to let John go. He's got to head to the Tennessee Pavilion for the Big Orange Caravan, but we thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great day.
Thanks.